What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Mind Hiking Podcast. I'm your host, Brody Frye, and today, grab that tinfoil hat and pull it on real tight, because we got some crazy thoughts and theories for this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Don't forget to look up at that eclipse. We'll be talking about it today. So,
not too long, though.
Yeah.
Don't blind yourself.
Yeah, don't blind yourself.
Stare at the sun.
Yeah. All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoy, and we will see you shortly. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Brody Frye, and here we dive deep into difficult questions. We'll map out thoughts, theories, and crazy ideas for the love of knowledge and growth. So, how do we answer some of the mind's toughest questions? This is the Mind Hiking Podcast. And we are live.
Uh-huh.
And now I can't do that sneak up on you anymore.
No, because it counts down.
We are using a new software for recording, and I'm very excited.
Can I say what it is?
Yeah.
Thank you. God bless Riverside. Because I can't get snuck up on anymore.
Yeah, I can't just sneak record.
Riverside stopping fight or flight mode. Yeah. One person at a time.
Yeah, it's definitely a little interesting.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. The editing, it's very cool. Still, this is the first episode using it, so it's going to take a lot of getting used to, but I didn't want to have a new guest on the podcast and me try to stumble through using this new software. Yeah. So I wanted to get comfortable before I mess up a whole recording with somebody.
Yeah. At least it's me.
You're so cute. Well, I love you. Thanks for providing this test run for me.
Always.
And with this software too, I can do multiple people finally. The only issue is I still only got the 2 mics, but we could do remote episodes now, and we could do episodes with multiple people, but they can record off their phone using the phone mic, and we won't have to pass the actual microphones back and forth. So this opens up a lot of doors. I'll still get multiple mics, but this opens up the possibility of finally being able to do multiple people.
Yeah.
So it's a huge upgrade to the podcast, and this also allows me to do video too. Mm-hmm. So that will be finally coming shortly. Mm-hmm. So welcome to the podcast, Catie Frantz.
Already.
Yep, just excited about this. Okay, so happy Eclipse Day.
Oh, yeah, because this is when it's coming out. Duh. I was like, that's tomorrow. Oh, sorry. Just outed you, but we're recording the day before. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Sorry. Okay. Happy Eclipse Day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Oh, my goodness. Always.
Everybody's,
So.
We'll see if everybody loses their minds.
I just think it's a little sus at the fact that all these news places, articles, sorry, my tummy just rumbled, all the news articles are putting out for people to buy food for the next 3 days and to prepare for outages for the next 3 days after the solar eclipse, when if you look back in 2017 was our last solar eclipse, which was actually pretty recent. It only happens
7 years.
Well,
that was 7 years
well,
ago.
Yeah, just kidding, guys. We're in 2024. Sometimes I forget that we're in 2020s. I guess it was pretty long ago. Oh gosh, I'm feeling kind of old, even though I'm not, but I am. But 2017 was our last solar eclipse, and if you look back to what news places put for that, they were go outside, set up outside, and go look at the eclipse. All very lighthearted, go experience the solar eclipse, and all this fun stuff, and they didn't have anything about outages and all of the phone services might go out. Make sure that you fill up your gas tank before the eclipse, just in case. Like, it's just like, and it could totally be
also,
like
NASA shooting 3 low-level orbit rockets at the eclipse.
just for testing.
Yeah. Just to see the darkness levels.
Yeah, there's just a lot of weird energy happening with this solar eclipse, and there's also like other things, like when you read Revelations. Now, I talk to you about a lot of stuff that I read, but I personally don't want to like go read Revelations yourself and see what you find. But I just also, one of the things that it talks about in the Bible is not being blasphemous, and which just means like spreading false narrative or false information. And like, I only read and see and think of things and believe what I believe, but also, like, I don't want to spread something that's false and then give someone else a false, narrative when they listen to this. You know, like, I don't, like, I could be wrong, you know? Like, I'm only human. That's the thing, is that...
So basically what you're saying is, like, instead of when you're talking about aliens, you got to grab your tinfoil hat and pull that down tight. What do you got to do for, like, this stuff?
What do you mean?
What do you gotta wear for this stuff? Or do you gotta wear anything? We gotta get like our stones, like our little.
What do you mean?
Because it's like, instead of aliens wearing the tinfoil hats, we're doing like.
Oh, I think that's honestly just. I think the tinfoil hats aren't even just alien. I feel like it's like
so we gotta
world ending.
Okay.
Because I've seen other TikTokers that are Christians that are like. That are bringing up Revelations, and people think that they're crazy because there's Bible prophecies like happening for Revelations, like of like the end times.
Oh, and
them being like me sitting here with my Bible and my tinfoil hat, like waiting for everything to unravel.
Tinfoil hat thing just kind of morphed into any conspiracy, I guess.
It's like a conspiracy theory.
Okay,
yeah,
well, that's not how it originated.
Yeah.
It originated from a movie called Signs. It's an alien movie.
Is it like, does it stop from the aliens to like abducting them?
No,
that
it stops them from sucking their brains out.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah.
No sucking brains here.
Yeah, maybe we'll watch that movie tonight. Signs.
Yeah.
I actually have never seen it. I know clips of it, and I've seen.
We've been on our movie kick.
Yeah, we've been watching a lot of movies lately.
Yeah.
It's good though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Mercury's in retrograde.
Yeah.
Har.
I personally, this is gonna be so controversial.
Oh, that's okay.
So controversial. I'm always so controversial.
Good, stir it up, girl.
So for the longest time, like even when we started dating, I believed in zodiac signs, which I still do. I believe that it's real. Like, I believe that the zodiac signs are real. I just no longer really identify myself as, like, I'm born in December, so Sagittarius, because I believe that, and I've read a lot of things about it, that's what led me to this belief, but whatever God creates is Satan has a counterfeit, and that the whole reason when you read the Bible, it's all about not worshiping humans, so not having idols on this earth, and to put your image, who you are, in God. Like, you are who you are. Like, you are your own human that he designed. You are your own being, your own soul. No one can be like you. You are very unique. You are wonderfully, beautifully made by him. And so you have to put your image into God. And so there's a lot of things that tie to zodiac signs being demonic, which there's a lot of things are, but honestly, we're on this earth. We're not in heaven. So a lot of things here are demonic. There's a lot of things on this earth that are demonic. And that zodiac signs are, think demons have been around for years, like long before any of us. And what it basically is that demons and Satan and just all of them have been watching all of our lineages. They've learned, like, okay, when this person's born at this time on this month, they tend to have these traits. So we're gonna morph them. So then when they start talking to people, they're not like, I'm a child of God, or I believe in God, or they're not talking about that. They're like, oh, well, yeah, I'm a Sagittarius, or oh, yeah, I'm a Taurus. And then people start also not liking Libras, not liking Geminis, not liking, because
and then
people
they pick internal battles that have nothing
and
to
then
do with
they don't meet people because they're like, oh, that's a Gemini, I don't like
just
them.
prejudging people.
And then on top of it, think of like when you like, for example, like when you get a new car and you love your car and you think you're unique, and then as you're driving, you start to notice all of the cars that are just like you. Or,
you're right.
Or like or if like your partner, like you, like if like I see your truck everywhere, even though it's not your truck, and now like your truck has different things on it where I know it's yours, but I see your truck more.
Yeah.
You know, like.
When before you never did.
I never saw it. Yeah. So it's the same concept of when you start to read things about yourself, you're like, oh, that's just like me. Oh, that's just like me. Oh, that's just like me. Where you start to get traits that aren't even like you.
Yeah. But
because you're associating it with your sign.
It's so vague that it like anything and everything applies to you, and then it starts these like pre-judgments where it's like you don't even meet the person. You don't even know the person, but you assume that you know everything about them just because of the time of year they were born in.
Yeah, and
then that's just like causes internal battles between us. It's what it's doing is dividing us as humans even more.
Just like politics.
Yeah, it's
just
how
like
many ways can we break
liberal,
each other up?
Being a Republican, being a Democrat. How about we all just have our views? Like, is anyone really fully Republican? Is anyone really fully Democrat? Everyone has their own thoughts on everything. It's putting those labels is what separates people. What makes people like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. You know, like it's just having those labels when we're all literally humans. And that's why I just don't. I believe in it. I don't want to say that I don't believe in it, because I do. I believe it's very, very real, but I think that it's like, I don't want to be labeled. It's very, like, I feel like it stops you from being who you really are. And
then you feel, if somebody calls you something so many times, then you feel like that's who you are. You start to, like, in this world, you start to identify yourself as whatever you're being labeled as, and then you start to live up to that. So I think these labels are just dividing us further and causing us to battle more. It's just like, how many ways can we split each other apart?
Yeah, and I do want to say too, like, as a disclaimer, like, this is a new thing that I've started to believe. Like, if you look back at any of my older stuff, I've definitely posted stuff about the zodiac signs. When we first started dating, I was like, if anything, it made me believe it more, because we grew up very, very different, but we were very similar, but we're both the same sign. So, like, that made me, like I believe in it. It's more of, my label is I am a child of God and I am made who I am. You know, like, I have certain traits and they're from God and they're my gifts that he's given me to use in this world. And we all have gifts that God has given us. It's more of, we have to choose to see it, and also that's our power. So Satan's going to do whatever he can for us not to see it and to not use it for good. So he's going to do anything to make us feel like we're normal, and to make us feel like we're basic, and to make us feel like we're nothing. Like, we're just a blip in this world, you know?
Yeah. For me too, I always, like, early on, I always struggled with the idea of, like, how, like, the idea of, like, giving yourself up, like, because in the act of making this a standalone episode, I guess I'm just going to kind of go back to some things that I've talked about before, where, like, I didn't grow up with any religion at all, and coming to terms with the fact that and this was a heavy one, a hard one for me, but coming to terms with the fact that, like, this body and this soul, this spirit of mine isn't mine, because what was before me, without, like, it's not like I was there to create me. Something created me. So how am I mine? And that's where that's what took me the longest to come to grips with, because people like to think that, like, it's like, this is, like, I'm me, blah, blah, like, you don't own me, blah, blah, you know, and people don't like the idea of, like, giving yourself up. But I don't think it's about giving yourself up. It's that you're not yours because you didn't even make yourself. Like, I feel like we're just kind of, like, renting these bodies, basically. And and then we return them when we die. And
that's why it says, like, and I read this in the Bible recently, like literally this morning, where it talks just about, like, number one, not idolizing other humans, but also not putting worth on things that are on this earth. Like, that rhymed. Remember that. Don't put your worth on things that are on this earth. But, like, money or, you know, clothes and food and everything like that. Because it says, like, God feeds the birds. The birds always have something to eat. The flowers always have water to grow. Like, God makes flowers grow. He helps the birds eat. He helps the other animals eat, where it's like, you think that you're not worth more than the birds that are eating? You're not worth more than the flowers that are growing? Like, God, if you put your trust in him and you believe in him, it's having the faith. Like, if you don't have faith, like, it's about having the faith and knowing that he will, that you don't have to worry about what you're going to wear. You don't have to worry about what you're going to eat. And also, like, being able to shed everything you have on this earth. It's not about the things that you have, because those things are going to be worth it's nothing. You can't take it with you when you die, you know? So it's about, like, your soul and being happy and just, like, doing good. And it's also not even about, like, the acts that you do that you show everyone. It's about, like, being good in your soul, like, in you. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It's feeling good about you, not what everyone else thinks of you, not that you helped a homeless person and then you posted it on Instagram. Like, it's not about that. It's literally, it's literally, it could even be something as simple as in literally just living a soft life, but taking care of your babies, taking care of you, and just whatever makes your soul happy.
Anything and everything you do is going to piss off someone.
Yeah.
You can't make everybody happy. You cannot make everybody happy.
That's why I don't care about things on this earth.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you can literally just look at the life of Jesus, and it's like he was literally just trying to be the most kind person ever, and everybody hated him. It's like
his own people turned on him.
Yeah, what is up with, like, how doesn't that make you look at yourself and be like, huh? Like, we humans have such a hard time with looking at ourselves, like, because, and the reason is because we're looking from our own perspective. We're always looking outward. We don't have eyes that face inward. And it's like, that's why it's so hard to see yourself. But we can see everybody else's flaws.
Yeah.
And it's way easier to point out what everybody else is doing when you didn't even see what you're doing behind your own eyes.
Yeah.
And
I do want to point this out too. I do feel like this is, like, playing in my head where I do want to say this statement, but, like, Jesus was born years ago, years and years and years ago. And if you go to school and go to, like, history class, there's articles about and history books on George Washington and how America was founded and all of this stuff. There's no documents that these people were real. There's no, maybe not all of the people, but, like, years ago, like, things that we found that there's no physical blood online analytics from a doctor that said that this person was born.
What you're saying is that there's just as much evidence that Jesus is a real person as there is George Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's literally, there's no
If
photographs.
you look it
it's
up,
all paintings.
Yeah.
Like, how do we know that that's what he even looked like, George Washington?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all just, like, artwork.
People met George Washington, and then they wrote down the Declaration of Independence, and I don't know if that's, was not good with history, but, like,
it's all just handwritten documentation, just like with Jesus. Yeah.
And on top of it, if you seriously look up evidence of Jesus, like, of him being real, there is evidence out there that they found of his DNA and of things being real with him, like remnants of, like, in Israel, like, that they've found where he was, you know, and it's more of there's certain religions that are wondering, like, was Jesus like, what, not if he was physically real, but, like, was he the son of God or was he not? Like, that's what people are really what they're tossing and turning of. But it's more of, if you're looking for, like, that push of if Jesus is real, go look up the evidence, because there is evidence that he was an actual person. And like we watched The Passion last night, and it really just like broke my heart, because it's just knowing that a human being went through, like, even reading the Bible, even reading, you don't realize how, like, you read the numbers of how many slashes he got on his body, but like physically seeing it, it's like wrecking, knowing that not only he was human and he went through that, but also other humans did that to him. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, we're all infected with evil. It's disgusting and horrible.
It is.
And when we can't see it in ourselves, you can look around and see that, like, everywhere, but it's so difficult to look inward and see, like, where, because we identify with it. We, like, if we make a decision or do an action or something, we identify with that, with our choices, and then when somebody calls you out, what's your initial, like, knee-jerk reaction? It's to defend yourself, even if you're wrong. It's like a fight or flight thing. You immediately want to defend yourself, no matter what, whether you know you're wrong or not. You just want to defend yourself, and then you dig yourself into a deeper hole of evil and sin.
Yeah, I saw someone that
because the ego doesn't allow you to admit you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's too tough. It's too hurtful, because we're identifying with that. Our choices and our ego. We identify with that. So it hurts us to actually say, I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and just because I'm a part of, like, a couple groups that are religious, and there was one girl that I follow, and she's amazing, and she reads the Bible, and she newly just founded her faith. Her name's Allie. I love her. Allie Yost. I doubt you're listening, but if you are, I love you. I would love to be your friend. Like, you're so cool. But one of the things she said was along the lines of being children of God, and what Jesus teaches is we're not called to win arguments. We're called to stop them. Whether or not, it's so easy for our ego, like you said, to easily just defend ourselves, to just be like, well, you know, I did this and I did. And the thing is we're all called to do that. And not all called. No, we're all automatically doing that because of our ego, that then we're both defending ourselves to each other. And then no one wins the fight. And then everyone leaves feeling defeated, feeling not listened to, and then that creates separation between human and human. It creates separation between relationships. That's how divorces even start, is because you're just defending yourself, thinking of yourself, when it's like, if you have the mindset of not winning the fight and just wanting to stop the argument, well, then you're sitting there wanting to stop it and being like, okay, then, like, I love you. There's love in
your focus?
that. Your focus is on the other person rather than on yourself. Oh, sorry, I just hit the mic. That I just feel like that's something that I struggle with, and that we both struggle with, and that everyone struggles with, you know, but that's something that I try to remind myself of all the time too, especially when I was like the youngest child, and like growing up, I was always talked over, and always like a lot of stuff, you know, that I definitely grew up in an environment that was had to defend themselves, and I had to defend myself a lot. That's something that that's a very earthly ego thing that I've been trying to, because what doesn't matter. It really, you know who you are, you know your truth. Like, Satan puts those things in your head to make you believe, to make you think that you're something that you're not, or that people are thinking a certain way, or that people are going to think this of you, when no one cares. Like, when have I ever sat around and thought of someone in my head of what they're doing, who they are? Never. Like, we're all collectively only thinking of ourselves, you know? So then when it comes down to it, do whatever you like go after that job, go do the podcast, go do whatever, like, but also when it comes down to it, like, when it comes to a fight, like, like, you're both defending yourselves, like, just learning to, sorry, I'm rambling, just learning to, like,
keep going,
be, just, I don't know, just, no one's thinking of you, and stop putting the focus so much on yourself, too.
Yeah.
It's really that. There's not that much weight. And there was another thing, too, where, like, going back to the solar eclipse, and people thinking that, which I believe, that the solar eclipse might be the sign of the end times, and I had this weird thing when we were watching The Passion, and
that was very, very wise of you.
Thank you.
I never thought of that.
There's a clip of it towards the end where it's not spoiler alert because it's about the Bible, but when Jesus is in his tomb and after he dies and they put him in the tomb and then they close the tomb and then they open it back up and it was in 3 days and then Jesus rose from the dead. But the clip of it shows not him in the tomb. It's really of the shadow of like the light going into the tomb. So it's just it's literally just showing the shadow. So it's the light and then you see the rock, the circle boulder, turn to darkness, the shadow of the boulder closing the tomb. And then you see the light come back and it's like a circle. It's like an open, then you see the light and then it appears to Jesus sitting there and he's alive. And so I saw that, and after the Passion, I turned to Brody, and I was like, I feel like that's kind of like how the solar eclipse is, because number one, all of the weird news articles, if you can literally search up on the news that they're saying that there's demon face syndrome, where people are seeing demon faces.
What the fuck is up with that?
And I really think what it is, it's to make us feel like we're crazy, and there's something, to literally just look up, this is, and when, ooh.
You're good.
Oh, it's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. Oh, okay, it's still going. I've never seen that before. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay.
The computer just turned off. The monitor.
She went to sleep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But there's actual, whenever I see something, I do typically don't believe it right away. I will look at a couple things just to make sure, does this line up kind of thing? Yeah. And there's actual news places, like companies that are talking about demon face syndrome. It wasn't a parody. It wasn't a fake news. No, literally it's actual Fox. Maybe it wasn't Fox, but news places that are talking about demon face syndrome, which also in the Passion, they kind of show very similar faces, which I thought was weird.
Yeah. And
who knows if back then, if they saw that stuff, who even knows?
Yeah. When you first told me about this, I was like, okay, well, so what we're gonna start seeing demon faces now showing up there after the eclipse, and they're just warning us ahead of time that it's just a defect, and then all of a sudden you were no, it's not physically on their body. After I started watching some videos, it's not that they're saying that these people have physical defects or physical issues. What it's saying
cleft
is
lips and stuff. It's not physically on the face.
No, it's saying that your mind is messed up and you're envisioning this and it's not real. And it's that's where I was confused. I was so now we're gonna start seeing people that look like this, and then it some of the stuff I was looking at was no, it's in your mind. It's all. You're going to start seeing this, but that if you do, that means that you have a mental disorder. And I'm that's the weirdest thing.
Also, conveniently, now they're this is a new thing.
Yeah, this is a new thing.
Also, demon face.
Yeah, really?
Out of everything.
There's actually a medical name for it. I can't remember what it's called, but...
But still, why are the news articles calling it demon face? I think that's... to me, it's where I feel everything is true, and the earth makes it so obvious, because the more they make it obvious, the more it's made fun of, the more it's poked fun at.
Yeah, it's that's the longest freaking word I've ever seen in my life. PMO is the acronym, but it's oh gosh, should I even try to read this?
Do it. Oh, Alexa.
Prosometamorphosis morpho. I have no idea. I don't know. Definitely look it up. The acronym's PMO disease.
Yeah.
Or disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's messed up. But
also, sorry.
But yeah, the boulder rolling, I really like that, because it's literally as if that boulder of Jesus's tomb was the moon, and it's rolling past the sun. Yeah, the eclipse from that scene that we saw. It's from the inside of the tomb, you can see the light. It's light, then it rolls past, closes, and then rolls past, and light comes back through, and it's the passing of the moon. The eclipse is a sign of
Jesus coming.
Not just that. That's just a skimmed over version. It's a sign of the fact that he lived, he died, he was placed in the tomb, and then the tomb was reopened. Is like the eclipse passing the sun, like the moon passing over the sun. It's just like a cool way to look at it that I never really thought of.
Yeah, and that's what I mainly said. Not like that Jesus is coming tomorrow. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was more of
we don't know.
It could just be a sign.
Yeah.
Like just it could still happen in a couple years. And again, the Bible says and I want to say this, that's why I don't I like to keep an open mind, and I like to look at things, and I know everyone like wants to meet Jesus and God, so people like really search for this stuff too, and there are a lot of things in Revelations that are happening. There's no doubt about
everybody
it.
Jumps everybody jumps to conclusions like, oh my goodness, it's happening now.
Specifically in the Bible, it says nobody one knows the time nor the hour it would happen. So it could even happen in a couple years to the point where we're all just like, it'll happen when it'll happen, and then that's when it happens.
And the Bible talks
because
about
no one's paying attention to it at that point.
Treat it like a thief in the night. Like if you knew the date and the time that a thief would rob you, then you wouldn't get robbed because you'd be able to prepare. But treat Jesus coming as if it was a robber in the night, because that'll ensure that you are prepared always.
Yep. I'm looking something up before I say something.
As in, like, I don't mean to like prepare yourself. I mean that is be a good person, live a righteous life, and just be good.
Yeah.
Not prepare for end times.
Yeah. And the only way, the only way you really can prepare is just read the Bible. Read the Bible, know you're human, and just try and learn about God. That's all that matters, Like, if you have that relationship with Him, it's more of knowing that, having that relationship with Him, like, you're human, and He knows that. Like, He knows, like literally, the reason why Jesus is so amazing and why people get so emotional that have that relationship with Jesus is because even while all of this was happening, like, even, this is so harsh, but like, before you even read the Bible, there's proven facts that Jesus was on this earth and that what happened to Him happened. Watch The Passion. Like, it's harsh, it's horrible, it's brutal. Watch The Passion.
I'm pretty sure like just about everybody's already seen it. We're probably like the latest ones to
watch it now, though, because I've seen it when I was little, and that's number one. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch, and when you're little, even when you don't have the mind for searching for the information, you're not going to watch it and get into it.
Yeah.
Watch The Passion, see what this man went through, and then read about his journey.
Pretty sure Bible. It's like the most watched movie of all time, actually.
Yeah, and also it was the same thing as Sound of Freedom, which is funny because it's the same actor, but
3-time Oscar nominee.
Yeah, he the movie got dropped from a bunch of companies. Like, they had to do the same thing with like Sound of Freedom, where they had to no movie places would pick it up. Like, it.
Which is weird.
They had to push it out, which is weird. But that's the thing.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They don't do that for anything else.
That's how it is with conspiracy theories, too. If like, people are, like, afraid of it, or, like, news sources are, like, afraid of it, that kind of says something.
Yeah.
Ah.
Sorry, I'm trying to look for something specific, but I can't find it. Because I don't want to say it because I don't want it to be true. That's why I'm just trying to look it up. But I want to say it, but I don't.
You're so funny. Well, and it's also weird too.
Please keep talking. You take it over.
It's also weird too that like, there's so much about this eclipse that is really weird. That the fact that it's making like an X through the United States, with the previous eclipse from 2017, like it's like those two paths make an X, and it was like, and I'm not sure. I don't know if I should even quote this, but I look this up for yourself. But I'm pretty sure that the first eclipse that happened in 2017, or the first of these, passed through 3 towns called Salem. Passed through 7 towns called Salem and I can't remember. Salem means something. It means something like
I mean, I know Salem was the town that. Are you talking about like a good thing or a bad thing? For Salem, I have the word definition: peaceful, safe.
Yes,
complete,
that's what
perfect.
it was. Yeah, peaceful. I didn't want to say that without
Yeah.
being sure, but that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so basically like 7 warnings, and then 7 years later, another eclipse happens in 2024 here on the day of this episode coming out. And all of a sudden, that one goes through a town, Nineveh 7 times.
Yep.
And the first one wasn't it?
I just saw it. It starts. I need to not have this mic so low. I keep hitting
It's like
it.
pitched up to your forehead too.
I know. I'm horrible at this. I'll look up the
towns. Yeah.
eclipse.
Yeah, and it's like there's like the first town is like the town of Jonah, right?
Oh yeah, I
And
think
then
that's
it's
what it is.
And then there's like a
and it goes near the ark too.
and what's the constellation that'll be seen? It'll be visible during the eclipse. I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically that whale. This
Yeah,
is such a sloppy
and Jonah, yeah,
actually.
and
Yeah,
Jonah got swallowed by a whale.
Yeah.
So okay, so the long story short, Jonah got swallowed by a whale basically, and in 3 days he escaped the whale. Like he survived. Like he left the whale, and so that's why number one, Jesus would talk about Jonah to his disciples and to people and would say stuff like that. Like there's such a key thing with like 3 days. That's what I was trying to look up too, because I could have sworn those news articles were saying to prepare for this stuff, to prepare for 3 days. And that's what I thought was weird. Like there was like screenshots of news like outlets, like, you know, like regular like Chicago news and like, you know, like just like the daily news places for every area in town that was giving a list of things like to get gas, to prepare for food, to prepare for power outages. And they kept saying to prepare for 3 days.
yeah. Oh, yeah, that is weird.
That is weird.
Which is also, yeah, that amount of days.
And
that
then,
he was in,
in the tomb.
Yeah.
So, and then in the Bible, it says that to know, like, because one of the disciples, I don't remember, says, Jesus, how are we going to know when you're coming back? Is that going to be during our time? And then Jesus is like, no, it ain't going to be around your time. It's around this time,
Yeah.
which they need a lot of help. And he literally describes us now. And go read it for yourself, because you'll read it and be like, dang, this Bible was written literally years ago. And yet, if you read it now, all this stuff that when you look back at history, we think all of our stuff now is so new and like we're doing so good and all this stuff. When like you look years ago when this Bible was written, they called it. They literally said people are going to be doing this.
Yep.
People are going to be feeling this way. This stuff is going to be happening, which is literally everything happening now.
Yep.
Everything happening now, which is so crazy. And then Jesus says that we'll be just like, he calls us like a something generation, which it's not a good thing. It's like a basically like a lost generation.
Yeah.
Like a very like lacking God generation. And he says that they'll look for signs, and the only sign we will give them is the sign of Jonah.
Yep.
Which also I'm pretty sure on top of it, the past solar eclipses with this eclipse is the sign of Jonah. I could have sworn. Or maybe that was the omega sign. Maybe I'm getting it confused. I've seen so much of this stuff.
Yeah, that's...
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, there's just like
He's the fact checker. He's looking at stuff, so I'll just leave it to him.
Oh, no. And yeah, it's just like... What I was getting at is that the eclipse pattern is making that X, and then there was a previous eclipse that happened a long time ago that's making like the alpha sign over the United States. And basically, Jesus answered that, and this is the New International Version, a wicked and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but none will be given except for the sign of the prophet Jonah.
Yeah. But also, I will say that could be multiple things, because I did see the way that they said it was that I feel like the solar eclipse and that stuff is the sign of Jonah, but also this one person did say, like, before we jump to conclusion, also the sign of Jonah could literally just be Jesus coming back, because Jesus did die for 3 days and then did die and then come back for 3 days, just like Jonah was in the belly of the whale and then came out after 3 days. So,
yeah,
there's that too. But I do believe, I mean, he does say the sign of Jonah, and it's just a sign of him coming back. It doesn't mean that he's gonna come back tomorrow, but he does say the sign of Jonah, and all this stuff is, and also Jonah was told to go to Nineveh. That's the main thing too, is Jonah was told to go to Nineveh.
Yeah.
By God.
And then in Nineveh wouldn't, they denied him. Mm-hmm. And, so Jonah's one of the first towns that the eclipse is crossing over, and then like right in the like midway point of there's a town called Rapture also that it's crossing through, which is kind of creepy as well.
Yeah,
but
it is.
There's so many like weird,
more like exciting, to be honest, but
that's a good way to look at it, I guess.
Yeah. Because we're not supposed to be, I mean, not that we're not supposed to be, it's normal, but like, he always says, do not fear. Literally in the Bible, I've seen literally TikToks of people just doing snippets of God constantly saying, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. So like,
which also, what better way for something like this to happen than a day where everybody in America is going to be looking up.
Yeah.
Anyways, looking at this stuff. And why is it, it's also weird that it's like,
I also think it's interesting that it's on a Monday.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing. And Mercury's in retrograde. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, but, which is, like, so actually Mercury, they used to believe that was the, I don't remember how it was worded, but it was something along the lines of, like, Mercury, they believed was the planet that was a symbol for communication, and that when Mercury was in retrograde, that people would be struggling with language, communication, understanding each other, and it would cause arguments and fights, and it was just a time of like miscommunication and struggle because being the symbol for communication, it's moving backwards. It's like, that's where that kind of came from. But really what it is and some people might think that Mercury's actually moving backwards for some point, for some reason. But what's actually happening is do you know what's actually happening?
Mm-mm.
Why it looks like it's moving backwards?
No.
It's because it's orbiting around the sun just like the rest of the planets, and when it gets to the outer portion of the ring, from the Earth's perspective, at a point in time, like the sun's out here, Mercury's coming around, we're farther from the sun than Mercury, so it goes around and it appears to stop, and then it appears to start going the other way. Why is that? Because it's hitting the outer portion of its orbit. So it's like, it's just going around. It's going around in its orbit. And all of a sudden, it's, from our perspective, we see it. What it's doing is it's still moving. It's not slowing down or stopping. But because of our perspective, it's coming around. And then it starts to continue around the curve. It's still moving the same speed. But really what it's doing is going away from us at this point. So it looks like it's stopped.
Yeah.
But it's really continuing the same speed, curving around. And then it begins to look like it's going backwards because it's going around the sun that way. Mm-hmm. It's like if you're looking at a street and you see a car doing a U-turn or something, and you see them going from left to right, and then they do a U-turn, and then all of a sudden when they're going away from us, it looks like they're stopped, but they're actually still moving the same speed. And then they're at the right side. They make their U-turn and they start going back left. And now that car's going backwards. Oh my goodness. No, it's not. It just did a U-turn.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I don't know. We just know more now than we did back then.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's where that stems from. But it's weird that that's happening, like, as far as signs go.
Yeah.
With the eclipse.
And and I think it's more of there's just so much stuff that there's so much, but also as a reminder too, I do want to say this is no one knows the time or the hour, but on the other hand, and even though the eclipse goes through like a town that also is called Rapture, I do think I'm really confident when it comes to the rapture that those of you who don't know, there's supposed to be like an antichrist to be ushered in, where he's a very charismatic, everyone loves him guy, and he's literally like, it's again, when God has something, Satan has a counterfeit. So it's very much like Satan's Jesus, like, but not, I don't think it's his son. Like, I don't think it's like that, but it is like a mockery, like it's the Antichrist. And the funny thing is everyone hated Jesus, but everyone loves the Antichrist, which is a big thing too. But anyways, he's supposed to be just like a very charismatic. He's actually supposed to be like, he's ushered in as like he's in politics, like he's some sort of leader. And I have some ideas of who I think it is, but I ain't talking about that in this podcast. I ain't gonna go that deep. And who knows? I mean, we don't know when the Antichrist would show up, but even the Christians, before they get raptured, we all see the Antichrist timeline wise. I'm really sure that we all see the Antichrist before the rapture even happens. So like we know it's him, like we are told. And we find out about the Antichrist before the mark of the beast happens, which those of you who don't know what that is, the Bible talks about it. The mark of the beast is literally basically selling your soul, but not realizing it. And it's when it says that the mark of the beast is either on the hand or the forehead, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you'll be able to use it literally says you use your hand for money to sell transactions.
Buying and selling, yeah.
Yeah, which is weird because the Neuralink with Elon Musk is happening, which I actually don't think he's the Antichrist. So don't come at me. I actually don't think that anymore. I used to. I don't anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, I've showed you stuff. There's a lot of stuff that like is really sketchy about him. That like either way, I think he's just not.
You can find stuff that's sketchy he's smart. About everybody.
Stop it. You like defend Elon Musk. That's like your man right now.
No,
but
it's not.
I feel like it is. But
no.
He's a very smart man, though. He's a very, very smart man. He's so incredibly smart. I think it's more
just because I never really necessarily agreed with you on that. That you think I defend him.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
But it's more of because there's like some weird stuff about just like his past and people he's connected with. Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay.
But I do think it's weird though that he's like making that Neuralink and that's like gonna go in our heads. And there was one woman that they were testing it on and they were like showing a video and she has it and she was able to wave her hand over the transaction, like the pin pad, and could pay for her groceries.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No.
Shit. Well, I'll see if I can find it. I don't know though.
Well, that constellation that's happening that you can see during the eclipse is Cetus the whale.
Oh.
Which is weird because it's also how Jesus said that the only sign that will be given is the sign of Jonah, which it's going through, the eclipse is crossing over the the town of Jonah, and the constellation Cetus the whale is going to be the only constellation that will be seen, and Jonah was swallowed by a whale, and basically a wicked and adulterous generation seeks after a sign, and no sign shall be given except for the sign of the prophet Jonah. Yeah.
Weird.
Weird.
It's all just super, super weird.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where, like, you know, we're all human, so no one knows anything for certain at all. So no one can say that they're certain. But on the other hand, it's also not also ignoring things too, you know? Because I feel like it's one of those things where you're given signs and you're given opportunities and you ignore it. And then when it actually happens, or when, you know, then you'll be sitting there wondering why you got to this point, or why this is happening to you. You get what I mean?
There was an eclipse that happened back then too, also, like 2,000 years ago, about the time that it was called the Bersagle eclipse. It occurred over the Assyrian capital city of Nineveh in the middle of the reign of Jeroboam II. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But the eclipse took place around when Jonah arrived in Nineveh and urged the people to repent, otherwise the city would be destroyed.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But either way, there's so many weird things. There's a lot of... I mean, you can find weird things in anything you look into, but it's still really interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff.
There's just a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tinfoil hatting.
Yeah, it is.
But it's still interesting to look into this stuff. At the very least, it's entertaining.
Yeah.
But you never know. Love you very much.
I love you very much.
And hopefully everybody's okay today. I think it's going to be more of people just like freaking out rather than anything really happening.
I did want to say this. I was going to say this in the beginning, and then we kept talking about something else, and I got distracted. And I didn't even tell you this. But it kind of weirded me out. Maybe I'm crazy. Who knows? Probably. But when I started seeing the stuff about the demon face syndrome and that stuff coming out, this sounds so weird, but I do remember there was a period of time when I was little, very little. I to the point where I was little, where it was like vague. Like I remember certain things, but I remember being tiny. Like I remember like looking at people and things and being like tiny.
Yeah.
And where I would be talking to like a family or friend or anyone. I'm not going to name like who the people were. And all of a sudden, while they're talking to me, I would start bawling and crying. And when I would say like I saw a monster, and I would like freak out about it. And I can't picture what I saw, but it would be like the quickest thing. And of course my parents would be like, oh, you probably just like looked away, glanced at, and just thought, you know, they would just be like, it was nothing. Like you probably just saw something. But it would happen like a couple times. Like it like was a thing that I would do for a period of time. But I feel like, you know, one of the main things, which it's really unfortunate, but when we get older, like we're all sad. We're all older and sad and dealing with life and everything. But when you're younger, when you're a baby, like you grow and you're so receptive to certain things. And like there's times where like I've had family members when they were babies and younger where like they saw things, you know, think of like even all like JJ's episode, like all the things that he saw, you know, like ghosts and just like weird figures. And like when you're little, you see that stuff. And then after you get older, it's like your mind like fogs up. It's like then all of a sudden you get this like shield over your mind,
or you just say, oh, I was just a child or whatever.
Yeah, you know, but then in a way I feel like you stop seeing that stuff, you know, and
you close yourself off.
Yeah, and I also do believe this too, where like and I could be wrong, but also with the whole demon face syndrome thing, it doesn't mean that like when we see someone that, and I mean I could be wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean that also they could be a demon, you know? It could definitely be also like we all have demons.
Yeah.
We literally all do. And we all, I mean, not all of us, but like most of us like try to get rid of them, you know? Like we, like you do, like you don't want to just flaunt that you have them.
Yeah, it could just be one that you have that's manifesting itself.
Yeah, that's clinged on to you, you know, that you need to get rid of, you know? Like, and we know plenty of people that have dealt with that kind of stuff, but I just think that's kind of weird, because when I was reading about the demon face syndrome stuff, I was like, when I was seeing like the image and stuff, I was like, I feel like that's what I saw when I was a kid. Like, it just looked very familiar.
Yeah.
Like, very, very familiar. Where, like, to me, like, that wasn't something that I thought about when I was a kid. Like, I saw demons. You know, like, it wasn't anything like that. It was literally just, like... But that, I feel like that's what I would see when I was little, and then I would freak out and, like, cry like I did. You know?
Weird.
It's so weird. And then, like, the thing is, like, I never saw... When I was little, like, there were little things, but, like, I never, like, had an experience like JJ did. Like, I never had anything like that. But... I had things like that where like I would be talking to someone and all of a sudden I'd be like, I thought I saw something.
Yeah. For the listeners, I want to go back and see or listen to what Katie's referring to. It's
You're
episode
welcome, JJ. I'm also trying to throw that out there for him.
Episode 7.
Yeah. And then also, I didn't want to say one more thing, but another reason why I feel like we're close to the end times, not only because of all the things that are happening with Revelations, but because it's something so small, but it like was very eerie to me. Like, I just feel like it impacted me, like, when I heard it. But I was at a grocery store right by our house, and it's a cute grocery store, and it's just, you know, like a really quick shop that you can go to get things that you need, but it's not like a big one. And I was in one of the aisles looking for something, and some guy walked in, and they were like, "Oh, hey, so-and-so, like, how you doing?" And he was like, "I'm alive, but I feel like I'm not living." And he said that.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much probably 95% of the world.
But that's the thing.
Yep.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, people just going through the motions of life.
Yes.
They're miserable. Yeah.
Yes. And that's, like you said, it's like probably 99%.
Also, that's why it's so easy to manipulate people. Because they're numb and just going through the motions, and like you just give them the slightest mental nudge and they just like, it's like they're all zombies out there, and they just like believe anything. They just go through their days and just go through the motions and are totally blind to everything that's happening around them.
Yep. So I heard that, and I like think about that like almost daily.
And the world's designed like that.
Yeah.
It's just a huge test. And it's sad that most people are failing.
Yeah.
And they just go through the motions and are numb and close their eyes and just go about their day in and day out, and just it's just set up that way. It's a tough world.
It is. And also, I like to remind people, if anyone's struggling with money or feeling some type of way about life and just feeling like they're stuck or feeling, especially like money-wise, I want to remind you that we are seeing the most like A-list celebrities on commercials lately. And we're getting all of these weird crossovers with celebrities, and like you know, a singer from R&B that blew up on that, now she, like, Beyonce's doing country, like weird things like that are happening, that literally everyone's struggling. Like I keep seeing like jokes of people being like, they're just trying to get that bag, they're just trying to get their money, you know, like all of these like you would never see an A-list celebrity doing like an AT&T commercial, you know, like things like that, where now we're seeing let alone a commercial when it's like most everything's streaming.
Right.
But like they're trying to make money, whether if it's because they're struggling or if like things are happening behind the scenes, because I'm very convinced Hollywood knows a lot, that they're just trying to make that money for if something happens, you know, you never know. But it is weird, and just like if you feel like you're struggling, just know there's celebrities that are like literally doing whatever they can to make that bag. So, you know, I think everyone's feeling it. Like, everyone.
Make that bag?
Make that bag. Yeah, that bag of money.
Oh, my goodness.
Those fat stacks.
I always learn new phrases from you that
You
I've
do?
never heard before.
I know. Yeah, I keep you young. It's fine.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, I love you very much. Thanks for this recording.
I love you very much. I was drinking when you said that.
Oh, it's okay. All right.
Sorry for talking about Elon Musk.
It's fine.
I feel bad.
All right, time to lock up the house. Freaking lock and load and stay vigilant. Just kidding. All right, guys. Whatever happens, stay safe out there. We love you. We love all your support. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. See you next time.
Yep. We love you. 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
Rock on and peace out.